That will be put out by Bang.
Chances are getting incredibly slim here for Billy. This lead from SEN is way too dominant at the moment. They are playing so well on this map, as we thought they would, which is so weird that they made it yesterday. Maybe we can ask about that later. They really were just
One enemy remaining.
pretending. They're just pretending. Bring it out day 2 to get into playoffs. They're looking so good. Zekin is playing so well. His aggression is being supplemented by some great util coming through from John.
In the press conference yesterday, Kaplan sort of spoke about the road for Sentinels to get to a potential playoff spot. He says, we're generally really happy to be matched up against another Chinese team. We feel like there are similarities between Wolves and Billy, and we feel like they can be exploitable in the same way. He said, obviously, we would have loved that first seed, but, you know, we know how that all went. He says, happy to take on this team after dealing with Wolves. Feels like it is the path of less resistance, and that's a narrative that's been definitely being parroted by a lot of fans out there. They feel like this is a more comfortable run for SEN to playoffs. But after the disaster that occurred in Bangkok, I think many SEN fans, players included, are happy just to secure that playoff berth and have some more time to get set for that phase of play.
And it's funny that YG just said the exact same thing, that he wants to play against an NA team. He feels more comfortable playing against the NA style. These guys wanted each other. They both got their wish. And we feel just destined to go to Lotus unless Billy can convert this round with the economy on the line.
I feel like I've heard that quite a lot over the last few rounds.
Really have.
The conversion of the bonus with the 2 Stinger by for Sentinels was backbreaking for Billy. This is probably the last best chance wire to get into this second half.
Aggression in B main, which is going to be forced back. They don't want to deal with this spam. Levius wants to pick up the trip, actually, to just adjust that somewhere else into the site to play off of later. Hoping to catch Zekin. Those tripwires can be the bane of the Neon's existence. That hasn't really come into play yet, however.
Obviously, Sunset was changed so that that trip is not unbreakable anymore, but that was a factor of champs last year, so these teams have long since adapted to the changes that Sunset brought way back then.
Sure he's holding a devious angle on main. Oh my god.
Cover going up.
Don't ask me how he saw that. He's going to punish the little tight swing. So no Zekin. SEN have to convert on this 4 versus 5 scenario. 0 point came out in that A direction. Tension really building. They know BLG are on the precipice here. They just need to give them a little push. Net flashes himself out. Bolai was going to come from anyway. And why is he tries to swing off it? The fault line caught Neon. And now BLG down to 3. Guardian in hand for Rushi has got to stand his ground now. Found the Prowler, and all of a sudden, center out of dodge. They're leaving.
There are 15 seconds left. John's taking the spike all the way through spawn. Can he get?
Right? Oh, okay. Rushi sees this. He knows they're going to get ahead of this.
One
Oh
Yeah.
my god, this timing is
Just.
Bro, okay,
Just.
all right. I mean, sure, that was
0.33 seconds remaining. That is the tightest clearance that you could ask for. And BLG, again, it's Levius, just in dismay, has to drag himself onto the site and face the music. For Sentinels, it's a cacophony of cheers.
I can't believe he knew that timing. He had me sweating bullets. All good. All good. Center on a run. 5 rounds in a row. First kill converted by that disgusting shot. Made ultimately irrelevant. I don't think Neff actually got that flash banked far enough back to connect on the swinging players, or they were just a little bit out of the way, weren't wide enough. A little bit hard to tell, but regardless, it didn't connect onto him. And he was forced out of that position due to the utility.
It's round number 18, and it could be the last of the map.
They are getting dominated right now. SEN, as we expected, have this map at the top of their pool. That is going to make them so dangerous. They've replaced Fracture, which they didn't like, with one of their home maps. John opening things up already, collecting a kill top mid. I think Neff just peeked out by that dark cover.
Yeah. Rushia, once again with the Guardian in hand, has always opted for this when the money has been there. Just saw how deadly he is with a single shot. Now, Narrate's selling this. Obviously, Not always normal to have your fade be the lurking aspects, who's going to rejoin with the rest of the team. Mid is open for them. Market has some architecture that needs to be dismantled. There's the trap wire. That'll be dealt with nicely. Levius not in a position to play off of it. And now SEN, Simmer. As things start to come to a boil. Let's swing at his smoke now. See Zek can break the crosshair placement and deal with Levius. SEN had the numbers, overwhelming the sole defender of the site. And YZ, all-star YZ has to salvage. That's a good start. Rushia down though, big damage done. And YZ eventually will be done with electrifying play from Zek in a four-piece to secure the equalizer map. Sentinels are far from done. Playoffs beckon to one of these teams, and they're leaving it all out there.
And the star duelist of Sentinels just went insane on that map. Just as good as we remember it. They left it for this game to qualify for playoffs, and now we're headed to Lotus, where they looked excellent the other day against Wolves. This is going to be tough for Billy. They have to rally back.
Don't go anywhere. This Trans-Pacific clash is delivering and promises to on Lotus after this.
Can you cheat at drinking wine?
It was career suicide. This is some skull and bones society stuff.
It's time to spill the truth. This is caught. Listen now, only on Audible.
Down early, it gets quiet. But in that last map, let me tell you, this team was locked in. It is very clear that they have been focusing on that. And Zelsis in particular has been very pivotal in calling it out when he sees it. When there's a round where he doesn't like how the communication has been going down, he has called that out and the team has locked in immediately. What we've also seen is a lot of Sentinels having weaker defensive halves and then crushing on the attack. And let me tell you, that is a John QT masterclass. This guy has a great read on what the other team is doing and is adapting beautifully in the mid-rounds. He is fully in control on that side. Now, there's one more thing I want to check in on with the comms, but this is for the pre-map here. We've got the rest of Sentinels here. Who's winning map number 3? Sentinels! All right, let's send it up to the desk.
Thank you very much to Ender for that update. And in case you guys didn't pick up what he said, was Zellsis was very pivotal in terms of giving some ideas on that map as well. And you heard it from Coach Kaplan after map 1. He was a little bit disappointed that SEN didn't play like a team, but Mel, we saw so much incredible team play on that Sunset to bring them to a map 3.
And Zellsis is so crucial to that because he is able to hold people accountable in a way where everyone is uplifted instead of degraded. And he's always the one that is able to call these mistakes out and bring everyone up to that level. And I'm really impressed because there's so much team play required when they go into all these retakes that we saw them get into. I think it was 4 retakes out of 6 they won on the A site. And to have that, it's so important because on defense, they were up 7-5 at the half. And that's without pistol.
It's great to see them actually start well because we saw it against Wolves as well and the game and the map earlier against Bilibili where they actually managed to come out the first half not in a deficit, and it definitely helped as we went into the second one. And Zekken was somebody in the top of show that we were a little bit concerned about if he's going to find his form on that stage, but with John QT out here flashing for him, you know, stunning for him and doing everything for him, he's just managed to play like the Zekken we were expecting on the global stage.
Yeah, this combo in market here was great to watch, but Zekken especially, I'm really happy to see him really arrive in full force on the Neon on this stage. I feel like that, like you said, that was something we were lacking yesterday, but he is such a big part of that win condition. And here, some util, maybe a team blind here, but it's not an issue for Zekken. He's just gonna go in and get that stinger kill regardless. But this is what I wanted to see from him, this aggression and winning these key fights, disrupting the Bilibili gaming when they're setting up for their post plans or setting up for like a mid-round fake. So I'm really happy to see him arrive.
It's so nice to see him find his confidence again, you know, especially with his family in the crowd always supporting him, traveling all the way here as well. This brings them to a map 3 and meaning that suddenly a very, very winnable series for them, especially if he can keep up this sort of performance as we move on to the next one. I'm not gonna lie, every single one of these highlight kills from him and John is ridiculous.
It really is. He's such an exciting player to watch when he's on, and it's always especially, his Neon is something that rings true in my mind. When I think Zekken, I think Neon, I think Raze, and he always stands up to the occasion when it comes down to it.
Yeah, and when I think John QT, I don't often think Breach, but I'm very happy to think of his Breach now after that performance as well. On Lotus, however, we don't have to speculate what they're gonna play. We've seen it already. Did you like what we saw of their Lotus yesterday?
Oh, I will sing John QT's praises of his calling on Lotus all the way back to the bank. I love how Sentinels plays the map. They play it very slow and procedurally, exactly how Lotus should be played. And I think John is a huge part of that. And actually, you bring up Breach. I know he's playing Viper this map, but Breach is actually one of his best agents in the past 60 days. So I really want to shout out the fact that John has really been able to reinvent himself as a player, going from that Senti and now going into so many different initiators. It's really impressive.
I love the 60 days there. You've been counting. In your Canada, you're like, did John play Breach? They check. Did I like it? Check. Exactly. There you go. Tracking him here. But on the other side, this is where we can start speculating about Bilibili and the fact that Ender is joining us once again here on the desk. Can I send you down to listen into some Bilibili comms?
I don't know.
Yeah?
You know what? I Omen ulted up here. I can Omen ult back over there and listen on Bilibili.
How good's your Mandarin? You got this?
It's not great, but I could tell you if it's calm or chaotic.
Oh, okay.
You know?
We'll send you down. We'll send you down. But yeah, what about Bilibili's Lotus? What can we expect?
Honestly, that's a good question. I think what Bilibili need to do is make sure they're seizing like information and control of the map in the mid rounds, especially with how slow John's calling was. If you were talking about this, forgive me because I know this is something you were talking about earlier in the day.
Oh,
with how
no worries. I will never interrupt. You hyping up John QT's calling. I'll never stop you.
No, but honestly, I was really impressed with his reads in that last map, and I think that with the sort of like slower macro style that he would like to play and sort of punish the extremities of the map, I think it's very important for BLG to like make sure they're maintaining forward lines of information, holding those forward angles so they don't get punished by, you know, a late lurk into a Zellsis or someone.
And as you saw here a little bit earlier in that lower third, if SEN win this map, they make their first Masters playoffs since Madrid. And we all know how Madrid went. Well, it wasn't bad for a Sentinels fan, was it?
No, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right. There was no bracelet, though. So I think maybe this time around they can go for that bracelet, go for that MVP. Exactly. And it all starts here. They have to win Lotus here. The momentum is back on their side. Can they do it? Can they give the fans here something to cheer for?
I think what I was seeing on that second map, absolutely they can. But I also like the vibe I'm getting from Sentinels is that they are a little bit driven by momentum, you know, and it can be hard to come back after falling down early. I've heard it a lot, right? When like players go down early on in rounds, it can kind of become a little bit quiet in terms of their comms, and there's not always someone carrying the mantle. Now, today and in that last game, Zelsis was the guy that was stepping up in a big way, but he has to also be feeling that and bringing the vibes if they're going to be able to build off of that.
A big part of having that momentum shift is having people like Zelsis who can problem solve and help the IGL, because it's 4-8. You know, some people might shut in because they're afraid to have an idea and afraid to be wrong. But going into Lotus, I'm interested to see if there's any comp changes, but not expect anything too crazy.
No, not at all. But the mantra for SEN that I've been hearing in the comp, stay calm, stay confident. That is everything that they're focusing on right now.
However, though, for Bilibili, they are locking in their picks already. Anything you can do, we can do better.
Yeah. I like it. Little mirror action going on here. I'm a big fan of the Vi's coming in and getting more and more play on this map. It is so effective at stalling down the heavy exec play.
And I think Zelsis flies really under the radar, underrated in my opinion on these roles, on this anchor agent. I think his Vice is really good. He strikes a good balance of knowing when to play very close to his util and punish people who are trying to bait out that Vice wall that we see so often. And he knows when he should really play back. And his positioning on these sides, I feel like a lot of players can really learn from.
Well, very first time that we're seeing Bilibili play this comp, but only one can advance to playoffs. Uber and Wyatt, take it away.
The prevailing narrative for the road ahead for Sentinels coming into this game, why it was free playoffs. You guys have got it. You guys have the easiest run, etc., etc. But this series has been anything but. Icebox, brutal for Sen. They never got going. They could never get the start they were looking for. But their pick of Sunset still proved to be one of their best. Stunning performance. Now sets us up for a decider map for the first spot for these teams in a Masters Toronto playoffs. And it all goes down on Lotus.
Sentinels played a lovely defensive side against Wolves the other day, going up 9-3. Typically, the somewhat less favored side, especially when we're going back to this kind of old meta, old Lotus look that's just integrating Vice, who has been unbelievably powerful as a mainstay Sentinel on this map. I like that Bilibili have gone for this. I think it's a great comp right now, and it's always fun to see Zekken back on the agent that he made his name with years ago.
He looks dynamic, albeit slow to start in that Wolves series. That was not the story for Sentinels on Sunset, not by any stretch. All right, here Prowler on the corner. Zekken plays off of it stunningly. That's Knight down. Sees to follow up with the nade. Already, though, BLG have pulled the plug on that big foray into tree, though Neff is unsupported.
Just praying to find some kind of timing through door, but that is being watched by not just one player, two. This shear is about to be activated. Double push past it. They want to fight these players. Nade is going to do some damage. Swing out from Levius. Can they find this?
Oh, he just headbutts that bullet. Narrate's handing out free haircuts. And again, Bilibili have Neff walk up in the tree, which traditionally, with his Vice comp, you see Zelsis sometimes go set up his Arc Rose and his util there, just headlong into it.
God, that is sick from Zelsis' second round of that reaction time. And Neff just feels so pressured that he has to get even more space towards A and allowed the team to go for a pivot back after they lose that initial player.
Thank you for saving me.
Zelsis counter.
Hey, and if there was ever to be a map where we get a Zelsis carry game, well, first of all, he was playing very intelligently back on Icebox. He was great there so far in this series. But Vice on Lotus early this year is where he had some of his best games we've seen from him, if not his best all year up until this point.
Zelsis this time at the seaside. And they're trying to chase Bilibili off this mound position, and Zekken's inching forward. Here comes a hit. Razorvine comes out, going to be avoided by Wisey. Extreme low. Wisey! It's not a molly, but close enough. John down though. Rushi's having to deal with him with that classic, and Levius has got some sharp shooting here. What is this? Dominating!
What is
Sentinels
happening?
on that B side. Utter pandemonium. And Zelsis here, of course, is a beat behind the action. Rushia makes the turn, sees him come.
And even at that, he gets the dink onto him, double face. Zellsis, there's no hope.
Okay, well, welcome to the show. Everything's made up. The points don't matter. It's a MasterCard Thrifty in the second round for Billy. Bizarre.
Someone said, YZ, nade yourself. He just jumps into it in the corner. What is happening? How are they able to convert this? The shots from Levius were
For my next trick, I'll
disgusting.
catch my own nade.
Look at this from Zek, and he satchels out in one tap. Narrate can't trade. I think he had a bulldog. He can't see bang. This is ridiculous. I mean, listen, you're hoping when you're a Sentinel, you play B. Maybe you cut off a rotate. You get someone maneuvering towards C. You're usually not getting 3 with the ghost on your eco.
The third while you are blinded, by the way. Well, that didn't make a lot of sense, but that's fine.
Oh my god. All right, Zellsis is alone towards A right now. Playing in the dark cover, hoping someone may take a little stroll into it, but that's not going to be the case. YZ timings it, though, to get in the next one with this judge.
Got John's weapons from the previous round, and he's decently set up for this, but Razor Vine's going to slow him up. Rochier, though, not so fetid. He's able to push ahead. Make short work here of Sentinels into the grinder. They've become mulch here on Lotus.
Well, they were stacked up on the proper side, but BLG were just overwhelming with the numbers, with the superior weapons, not really able to get anything done at all. Bang left on his lonesome. Probably just going to eventually perish to the spike. Looked like SEN were just going to carry all of that momentum they had from such a dominating performance on Sunset into Lotus. On defense again. That's what they did to Wolves just the other day, but Billy are right back in the game.
And you can't account for a bizarre Thrifty like the one we just saw. That's definitely thrown things for a bit of a loop. And that individual talent on Billy, it's really easy to spot.
It feels like, you know, throughout this series, maybe, I guess, save for Sunset, but any player on this team has just pulled out some magic individually as far as being a shooter with the mechanics, you know, specifically on Icebox. Even the guys who had less kills total when Rusha and YZ were taking over, Levius was still finding moments to hit some snappy multi-kills. Neff has been playing well. All right, full buy here for SEN after it was looking like a great start. Then went disastrous on round 2. Let's see if they can wrangle control of this defensive side. A couple players maybe trying to get out towards Mound. But Ben can take a forward position and teleport away.
Bang wants this Mound fight until he doesn't. Paranoia comes in, forces him out. He's able to TP away and just get up onto the side.
They don't have any utility left. YZ already used that nade, so no real pressure can be further applied to Bang when they know he's been routed into Bend.
Not ready yet. Good
Flash from Levius is going to get the information that Zekken has pushed up towards B main. Someone is playing close. In the meantime, you have Neff taking a lot of space towards A. You know, already you're seeing some differences on this attack side from BLG compared to Wolves, where Neff is able to take a lot of space. Spring wasn't really able to do that the other day.
B is the look. YZ, no blast packs here, so no fast hit. Behind the Prowler though, plenty of util left for K9. Zekken's just trying to play his life as well as he can here through Apple, but that Snakebite is going to make it, in theory, a little bit more challenging. Just bank a nade here. In response, oh, the C's as well. Roshia, though, is able to get clear of the blast. And that combo fizzles.
BLG can't take too much forward space, but they have a couple players in Baby Door right now. Things could get awkward. SEN can dump so much utility on them right now.
They do. Roshia near side, and Zekken with one paltry point of health is able to get his, and Narrate found double. Levius is squeezed up on the side. Roshia is still there, trying to crouch, trying to hide away, trying to live. Instead of having none of it. Bouncing back into pole position. A B-side retake. 2 guns still to carry out of the round.
That was a real opportunity for Levius, but the spray was haphazard on that entry from Heaven. I mean, BLG do a good job getting into the light side. Yeah, you know, they get the spike down, but they just can't get forward. There's no real opportunity to do so. The option there was we just have to take a timing to swing out of this smoke behind the wall together rather than in front of the wall. But SEN were overwhelming in that situation. You know, I think earlier as well, Neff was feeling more confident to take a lot of that space off A, because what we saw on defense was Narrate, Bang. That was a duo that was pressed up on Rubble together, but when you know Bang is at mound, it feels like, oh, this might be my opportunity to go. It's going to be a bit lighter, but it's not like this round. Sen have 3 players ready to go. Nade, sees, caught right onto Rusha. He has to teleport to safety.
Took some damage off that though, didn't he? Just a lick though. Zekin is able to get back. Why is he dealt with? Bang has the TP out of what could have been a pretty hostile situation, and so the rubble fight goes very poorly for Billy Billy. There's a pause in the action almost, as it sees nade combo came in. And from now on, Billy Billy have to account for that threat. I have to TP across the rubble, maybe not up.
Narrate able to get so much value playing around that tree position with the Guardian. Eventually, I'm sure he's going to try to pick up the Odin as well. What can BLG do here? As Sen are more than content to just play this nice and slow and go for the retake when they need to.
Second sees is coming. K9 attempts a wide swing, but second looking comfortable. Strips Neff down to 16 health. Levis has already earned that Steel Garden. That spike is dropped just outside of Baby Door. It's going to be a very difficult recovery mission.
This round looks like it's destined to come to a slow crumble for BLG, who will have enough to continue the pressure, buying up on the next round fully. But this is well done from Sen. They've been able to get to a couple of crucial ultimates for the next buy round too. They've got the Showstopper and the Nightfall, so they have many tools to use to try and extend their lead.
We've seen the variations from Sen on this defense side. Quite often the action is where Bang himself is. They fight over at Rubble. The Omen's there. They make an early foray for Mount Control. Bang is also in position. So they've been varying, moving across the map. Here's this Rubble fight. I see, yeah, TP back, of course, towards him by Bang, and he's able to punish Zekin.
One enemy remaining.
Waits for them to step on up.
Gotta say as well, Sen, so far we're barely into this Lotus Mount, but man, they've gone for a lot of siege nades. That one back Rubble is pretty standard, but they used it in B main as well very early on. I think that was on the pistol, so that's going to cause a lot of concern that at any point, if you're a Billy Billy player, you could be getting hit by that usual combo. They want to get this early A control again. It's just that aforementioned duo of Narrate and Bang playing towards tree. They are often just in tandem on this A site, playing together, controlling that space.
You're going to see this duo of John and Zekin start to favor the A side of the map, as it was a more passive showing from Sentinels early. But Billy Billy have decided just to make their way towards this C side. It's just going to be the Vice and Util occupying that side, and Celsius, as a result, playing safer here.
Sen have gone for a full re-clear through Rubble. In the meantime, Billy Billy slowed down at the moment by some of that defensive utility, waiting out the cloud. They're going to have to burst in. Ultimate from YZ. Celsius is out in the open, and he's caught, traded, though.
That sheer wall, though, is in play. This is slowing Billy Billy down. Now, though, it drops. They're able to push here over towards Bend.
There are going to be so many ultimates involved in this retake. Zekin can get back in with the Showstopper, with this Nightfall at the same time. Steel Garden, though, hoping to make it so that Sen can't scale off of their own ultimate.
It has definitely slowed Sentinels down. Not confident, of course, without their primaries to push him, but Zekin doesn't need it. Oh, that's awkward. He'll take Rushia with him at the very least. Odds are evened. John steps up. 2 players here out of Waterfall for Sentinels, and they see the Shoulder of Night. The double high-low stack, though, is tough for them to break. John knows Neff is around the corner, and he doesn't have the health to withstand an engagement. Billy Billy, it's a scrappy fight where they occupy that seaside and hold on.
Both Showstoppers just earning trades. Celsius does good work to go 1-for-1 against YZ. That Steel Garden was the antidote to that retake, stacked with ultimates for Sen coming through. And Rouge is able to also get Zekin in time before the rocket connects, which is highly important. And then it's just a nice little triple sack up phase. Everyone on Billy Billy ready to fight together to close things out.
This time it's a look towards B. Viper's Pit on C already laid down, so Sentinels adamant about locking this part of the map away from Billy Billy's purview. They're not fully convinced, though.
Look at this investment for YZ. He's going for the Operator right now on attack. Just trying to post up on some of these angles towards B, but that Viper wall will keep him at bay temporarily. This certainly implies that Billy want to maybe slow down the game. I mean, Second is just caught spamming through with a stinger, at least bang there for the trade back rubble.
Mark, though, has to get out.
Here.
And for Sen, happy enough with a result like that. Zelsis has his own steel guard now, could be pretty effective here. Push comes to shove at the big side of TP4 from Rushi, already gets himself there. Zelsis waits. Spike loose. Oh, that's a desperate scenario here for BLG, but why is he popping himself up? What an upshot. Narrate peers on him, but Levis is able to find the trade. And again, it is down to John. John in a 1 versus 2. John who had to leave his Viper's pit and try and salvage the round at B.
That is bold, but necessary from YZ. Finding that trade, and from there, Billy maintain it, trading further, getting this advantage, putting all of the pressure on John on a round where both teams economically have so much at stake. Time has dwindled so much due to this heaven rotate.
John's not going to see much here. He has a snake bite, and Rushi just opted for a timing. He knew he had a contingency with his teammate in Baby Door, so goes for it and puts that one to bed a little bit earlier. Billy, 2 rounds in a row, stringing them up. How for Sen this gets complicated? They're definitely going to be forced down to a low buy.
Spike down.
Kind of an awkward first engagement. Zelsis does a great job isolating one fight. YZ goes for the most mental trade attempt possible and pulls it off. Coach Kaplan is feeling forced to call a timeout at this point. Certainly cannot blame him. That was a round of the utmost importance for the half.
I'm glad you highlight that YZ moment as the sheer wall came up. I thought it was curtains for Billy.
It looked like it was cooked. I like the entry in the side before that. You have Rusha teleport into dark cover so they can double face, but he wasn't close enough to actually get the trade on the Baby Door. If YZ didn't do that and Zelsis is able to tuck back, complexion of the round is entirely different.
And you heard from Coach Kaplan. Couldn't do much more, but just say, well played to Billy. You know, talking about these teams, Kaplan has often said, look, it's really hard to get a read on Chinese opponents coming into these games. When we first hit the server, we have to start with ourselves. And then we have to find a way to adapt. And you can see that's been a whole process, right? Sen sort of had to adapt as much as they could on Icebox and couldn't quite get there. It just took them too long. I mean, Kaplan said it, too little, too late. Now, though, these teams have much more of a feel for one another. But there's no accounting for moments like that from YZ, popping himself up with an op in the B site. It's bizarre, but it's the brand of a Valorant that Billy like to roll with.
Out of that timeout, Sen have 4 players ready to go to fight towards A. And on a scrappy buy like this, where you have some stingers, if Zelsis finds an opportune moment to use that Steel Garden, that could be enough to win them the round. They have full A control, and with all of that noise being made, easy call for Billy to get this free B site.
Now, no stingers now looking a little bit awkward at the periphery of the map. TP, I mean, ultimate for from Rushia into B. They were convinced they'd have that one dead to rights, and they went wrong. Sen here have to look for a way to employ Stingers, Sheriffs, and this singular Bulldog. Line up for Zekin. Comfortable double swing that outwits him. Mind you, that operator has been maintained, even though YZ went down previously, so it should be a comfortable end to the round for Billy. They've got all players up. They still got util to spend Sentinels. Probably don't want to feed them too much more old economy.
Will say that Billy would love to hang on to these guns. They still have a couple players at really low cash.
Oof, okay.
Nice snap from K-Knight. Finally able to get on the board in this round.
Taking stock of things, though. We had that timeout from Sentinels. They've had a chance to sort of consider how they build into this gun round. 3 defense side rounds, acceptable, probably. Need to go big here.
Yeah, they index heavily and just going for that 4-person rubble fight, praying that that's where Billy are going to be headed. But it ends up being a very standard situation on Lotus Attack, where you have one player kind of floating towards that A main. You hear, wait, they're using like 3-4 different pieces of utility. All right, just go elsewhere. That's very common to be occurring on this Lotus Attack. Why is he still playing with this operator?
Where are you?
This is definitely an inflection point in the first half, round 9. See Sentinels finally get some rifles under their belts, but there's that operator punishing these contact peaks.
Go get it.
It ended up being a 1-for-1.
Been a lot of early trades in this half, just like that. Look
at
at
where
the meantime.
John is playing.
So
far back.
Picking up a lot towards this A site, but again, you know, they can just feel fairly content to play this for the retake when they still do have that steel garden and have the potential to collapse into that site off the back of it. But now SEN want to get back in, entrenching the site, anchoring positions now that they're doubled up. They have the read on the situation. Obviously, Billy making a lot of noise. They want to execute SEN. Are getting over here now, right? No one to trade onto him. Finds the advantage for SEN.
And that was all before a Nightfall came down. Sentinels take the risk of being susceptible to that in order to have a player posted forward to get an easy kill. Now the momentum starting to peter off. YC has to just skirt around that razor vine and yeah, trigger the shield wall, needs to try and find a way to use this op.
30
How
seconds
far
left.
will this madman push with the op in the waterfall?
Has he heard this? No, there's a player
way.
making noise behind him.
No way!
Okay, rewarded and not punished as two players from Sentinels quickly try and spring to attention. No Hall's presence for the defenders. YZ is going to be permitted to push up here again.
If he catches his second kill right now, the Nightfall could certainly be enough to win this round.
Bang wanted to check the site. It's unclear if he got any information about where YZ is set up. Okay, the Nightfall, but later leaving from Billy. Look at how decayed they are. It's easy.
Player standing.
Able to spray two of them down. Narrate has to challenge YZ here. Blast pack to try and disrupt. Shorty in hand. He knows exactly where his assailant would come from, and YZ drops Narrate like a sack of potatoes. A 2v3 clutch. He's in an awkward spot where the op still converts.
He is just a fearless maniac on that round. The push into waterfall, adjustment to kill Zelsis, gets the free sight for the team. And by team, I mean K9. He's the only one. He gets over there. Oh. What a win. What a win. Brutal for Sentinels. They're going to force into this next round too when we get back into things, and it's left them with just a stinger for Zelsis. Not ideal, a lot of light armors.
And this time they're more than happy to bully their way out into rubble, Billy, and there's nobody here. It's another round where SEN only have John on this side of the map, and he's playing very far back.
That Poison Cloud going to go forward to cover up the view from stairs. Intentions of going through tree right now. SEN, they're trying to be fast on the pivot. They've got Zek in here. Narrate wants to get back sight again. Assist John when the pressure is coming in, when he's blinded up by the paranoia.
It expires quickly enough. The YZ's brought down by Narrate. He's watching it from that high ground. John gets absolutely saved. Neff's the one with the op here. Having to peer out from tree. SEN are not going to offer up any freebies. Look where that spike is. That is going to be an extremely oppressive scenario that Billy have to fight into. And Nev has to do it by pushing up with the operator.
This round should simply be unwinnable for Billy. There should not be any way.
Sick round from Narrate. Wyatt, he was the standout for Sentinels in their last game. Won't be able to do more than 3 here, but should be enough. Okay, all of a sudden, John brought down. Viper's pick going to be deployed by Neff, but he still needs to plant Steel Garden. But he has a shorty inside the pit. Not the worst scenario for him. And he'll wait this out, maybe look for a timing to swing out of the wall, and he's found bang! Zelsis!
Oh my god!
Quells what would have been a ridiculous uprising from that solo Viper. And Sentinels, they've managed to claw their 4th round, but it's another costly one. And they're yet to stabilize the economy, but Narrate here is able to find Curry, protect John.
Spike down A.
Second picked up the op at the end of the round.
Oh, my god, you could see that clutch happening. Oh my god. Like I said, unwinnable, but Nev made me believe for a second.
I mean, he commits that solo Viper's pit to play from.
And he got that crazy timing after his primary was jammed. Finally, Zelsis rips that steel garden and does get the value out of it. They were in an advantage situation, but given their economic state, that was a must-win round. You gotta commit it, you gotta convert, and they do just that.
Sentinels have conditioned a weaker A-side presence of the map now, with consecutive rounds of just John being there and playing on upper A-side. They might look to throw a variation that has Narrate come back, play tree, and Odin by. A few options here, as Billy have now tested that A-side a couple of times consecutively.
I'm wondering too if they're going to reinvest into this operator. they've been loving using it. That time, obviously, right, they threw it to Neff because they wanted YZ to be able to get deep into the site, but Narrate was just a hero. Absolute hero. Specifically for John, who was looking absolutely doomed until that lovely three-piece was found. But Narrate topping the board. He was the MVP of the SEN team over their win against Wolves. He got them back into the game with a crucial clutch on split. Phenomenal play from him, and he is picking it up for them right now to try and get into playoffs.
Billy have reinvested in that op, as you speculated, Wyatt. And yeah, early looks at 8. Narrate has come back here with the Odin.
Probably doesn't spot YZ, just ends up going a little bit short, so he wants to wait for this dark cover to fall, hoping that someone is going to go for the common jump peek, and it does happen, but Narrate was not too overexposed. Often players do it more towards the middle, but he was a little bit off to that left side, and I think that saved his life.
Why is he unable to react quickly enough? Okay, shield wall to dissuade a push off of the C site. That is actually where Zekken is set up. He does want to try and put himself where the action is. But whether that means he'd actually push off from C in the direction of the attackers remains to be seen. There's Rubble presence, the threat of the Odin. All of the util coming out from Bang and Narrate here have definitely slowed BLG up. So YZ opts to try and hold a B line. The Viper Wall will cut him off. Still guarded.
He's going to get that C site free. Dusen try and actually pull back in here. They have a few players near it, but wow, look at this pivot from Billy to have to go through the thorns. Bay wants to swing off of it. Trades coming through, but now the site is taken. Spike should be able to be planted, but SEN have other ideas.
Now YZ decayed very, very low. SEN also don't really follow up on the Nightfall instantly. Simply choose to get in position.
Yeah, cut off by some of those mollies, the thorns on the ground. Nate going to do some damage tonight, and it actually nets the kill.
Decker now with the showstopper. Stopped in his tracks. YZ with an op shot now. He's in the thick of things. In the heart of the maelstrom, YZ wants to push up, and with this op. Oh, are you kidding me? Devastating impact from YZ. Almost an ace for him, but Zelsis is able to interfere.
He gets the damage through the wall. Zelsis down to 10. A little bit of regen, and he's going to get out of there. No cash left, needs to save this. YZ is a menace.
And again, it's just absurd. Operator pushes onto that B side like we saw those few rounds ago where he saves it for Billy. YZ with a masterclass on subverting expectations. SEN still struggling to adapt to this duelist.
Seeing in that instance too, some of the power that even on attack Vice provides, where it's a denial of the blood. Those thorns being forward made it so that no one could really scale or try to fight off of the Nightfall that was used. And then, I mean, shot onto second, denying the showstopper is outrageous. And then somehow he tops it a mere few seconds later by pushing it to heaven solo and gets a collab.
John never had a chance to get his gun up.
He will never slow down. He is ruthless as a duelist. Intentions for Billy to take Mound early here.
4 defense side rounds is going to feel uncomfortable for Sentinels, but it is enough.
YZ now just one orb away from getting the showstopper.
Zelsis here operates off his own util. That's Levius down. Oh, this boy! He's mad! Zelsis got the dog inside him.
Spike down.
Takes 3 just as BLG hoping to swoop in and get a nice 8-round halved. He has thrown the stick in the smoke, so they've gone over the handlebars.
Damn, that play genuinely looked angry. Some fury on the defense there from Zelsis. He looked so locked in. It's all on Rusha in a near impossible situation. Zekken still has Satchels to get back in. He can just send it, distract, while everyone else will collapse onto him. They have plenty of options here.
Bang there's having to deal with him in the end. So all things considered, respectable from Sentinels, but at moments you've noticed them struggle with the tempo and just with some of the individual inclinations of Billy. A very tight half here and everyone getting locked in. You mentioned it. Looked like Angie Zelsis there on that C side. Looking to try and stop BLG in their tracks. It's been quite the series so far, and it promises to be an explosive finale, so stick around. One of these teams will be headed to playoffs on the other side of this map. to 7-5 first half on Lotus. The Sentinels start on the defense side, get themselves a crucial pistol, and then struggle somewhat to convert off that. Definitely put to the sword on multiple occasions by YZ, and also someone who had a real standout showing by Levius with a ridiculous MasterCard Thrifty where he's able to find multiple kills onto that B site with the Ghost. The guy's looking dynamic on this Vice.
On the opposing side, Zelsis was playing very, very well towards the end, shutting down some of those executes, getting a ton of value. I think it's so interesting, though, with this Coinbase Econ report to look at how much value YZ was getting from his heavy investment into the AWP on attack, which is something I wasn't expecting from him specifically as a player, but you just don't see it very often on Lotus, and certainly not with a Raze when your job is getting in deep, but still able to find that bang for his buck, spending it on that weapon, even despite having tied for the most deaths on his team. He's still getting value. The AWP absolutely paid off, as we saw, and I'm interested to see how much he's going to try to pick that up on defense, because Billy, they've won the majority of the pistols in this series, and even this first half when they lost, they won in that round to Eco. If they get the AWP rolling for him on defense, that could be the catalyst for them making it into the playoffs, for YZ making it into the playoffs for a second time at an international event.
Everyone thought this would be an easy road for Sentinels into the playoffs. It's been anything but. Billy stand tall on the attack side of Lotus, but now it's Sentinels' turn. With these comps, the way we've seen them play out has generally been favored as the defenders get spread fairly thinly across these three sites. But it all comes down to how you can capitalize on that distribution of defenders. Let's get rolling, folks. Here's your round number 13. Sentinels on the attack.
Ball's over the top for this duo of SEN to work forward on C, but when the orb is tapped, they want to swing off this paranoia, presumably crunch through the door even. These two players, Bang and Zekin, could be in real danger. Here it comes.
Like the trap. Roshia, though, cut down by Zekin, who didn't think there'd be a follow-up, and Levius is there.
He's pushed up so far that he was, luckily for him, able to dodge that paranoia. Now SEN, they are pivoting towards this A side where BLG have drifted. They are in the right positions at the moment, giving up C. Neff weak though, backside, going to be challenging to anchor against the Horde.
This is pretty quick moves though from Sentinels up onto the A side. No upper presence yet for the defenders, and Neff gives as good as he gets.
He'll take one for one with that low HP.
K-Knight now straight to drop. Here comes that attack side Viper Ball now. It's a little bit annoying. YZ can't see past it. K-Knight might need to be activated to disrupt a potential plant. So the paint shells had the intended effect.
Some players getting weak.
K-Knight flag! Right-click City!
Last player standing.
And they are both very low, below 60.
30 seconds
Tells
left.
him with the sheriff, but K-Knight thought he had him. Zaddy is home.
Zelsis is determined to win. You can see it from his disposition on his face since that last round of the first half. He is getting serious. This is not funny, whimsical Zelsis. He is here to win. He is hungry, especially for this team. After that disappointing finish that they had at the first international this year in Bangkok. They want to come back and show exactly what they're made of.
Why are you going here? Why are you going here? What the?
Find you.
Ooh, cut that one off at the right time. Two pistols here for Sentinels on this map. And it's an A site that is utterly bereft of defenders.
In the first half, SEN won the pistol, but lost in this exact situation. If they hadn't, we could be looking at a very different game. Billy were able to gain so much early momentum for their economy off of that.
Okay, Zelsis.
In danger, just wants to stay alive. Can't.
Oh, they're chasing.
Even though he is the player with just the sheriff.
Finally, I think Sentinels have been able to throw enough at Billy to cause him to simmer down.
And that's an easy call now for the rest of the team to just get into the A side. Zelsis feeling all of that pressure. Should be light on the opposite side of the map.
They are so patient about it. Here's a plant. John gets it down. Billy playing second fiddle, just trying to catch up. And now without much more than Frenzy Ghost. Neff will remain tucked here most likely. This would allow the game to become even. Narrate would love to get something for this Outlaw. Some little ROI farming. might get something from oh, buddy. Nefto doesn't overcommit. Narrate doubles back to the angle and will handle the interloper. Oh. If only just.
The right click almost got him.
Spam here, Zekin says, okay, something to be had here, and he's right. 3 kills with the Stinger. Only Levius to survive, only to perish to the blast. And now, we have ourselves an even game.
Second would have loved to have gone for a little bit more. The showstopper on the attack side with his traditional Lotus look. Very important.
Close call, that one. Billy, though, again, the pistol came down to a 1 versus 1. They sort of knew they'd be here after that clutch was lost.
Now can SEN convert on their own bonus. They are ready to fight out towards this A side early. It's light from Billy. Tucking to the box is YZ right now. And actually getting a lot of reinforcements through B. Look at this, Billy, they want to fight it, and Bang knows he needs to run.
Sentinels got out in time, though. Billy want to chase this, but just how far will they go? Not as far as lobby, apparently. And now the look is over towards B.
And does SEN want to accelerate elsewhere, get into the site? Do they really try to get into B? No, now they certainly cannot, but maybe they'll pick up the pace, continue that, getting through door into the C side, but they'll have to contend with that sheer, with this setup from Levius.
Doggedly, Billy been defending, and Narrate's not able to trigger the sheer wall. That is still in play. SEN are going to run low on time here.
That is painful. Orb is now being recovered onto Zekin. 2 away from the showstopper. 50 seconds on the clock. They have no map control at the moment.
They have, though. Look at the util on Billy's side. It's really limited. Just that smoke from Rushia. There's a Haunt for Knight. They've drawn it all out, but at what cost?
So now with the wall down, you do have Rushia with that Guardian on this A side, just jiggle peeking.
30
now,
seconds left.
Calling it.
He knows what the situation is. YZ, does he try to timing this? He goes through the molly!
Vulnerable enough, he's too easy to bring down, and Sentinels here have gotten exactly what they were looking for. Drawing Billy out of the defensive lines. And straight out into the sunlight. And now Billy realized, man, we were so active, so good at responding to these early probes. And then they overheated just a little bit, losing to the SEN bonus. Not just losing to the bonus, Wyatt, but allowing it to be a flawless round for the attackers. That is backbreaking.
They maintain their focus over towards that CB side. Really weren't able to take advantage of the low clock on account of it just being Rushia towards A. As you mentioned prior in the round too, just extracting all of that defensive utility out of Billy. To the extent, they just had a dark cover. That was it.
There's not much more that Rushia could do except peek out, see what was happening. Couldn't hang.
It's just great calling from SEN. They work the entire map, get back to that light A side in time. Worked so well, credit to John. Wisely bold in that situation. It just feels like he needs to help Rushia. Hopefully the attention will be on his teammate. But John was ready for that. And it's made all too easy with the vulnerable.
See, things are pretty restrained. You mentioned it. Zelsa's looked absolutely determined to have a clean victory here on this Lotus map. And unsurprisingly, Billy throwing their heads back in dismay, called themselves a timeout in a round where they're in a very precarious spot. Yeah, they can sort of force into this round. It looks like that might be the plan, but it's a big risk to take at this early stage of the half. For Sentinels, though, it's straightforward stuff. No overcommitment. They weren't able to force that sheer wall out on C, right? You see Narrate tried to get it. It didn't end up hurting him. They just bounced on back to A. And were able to execute this. Billy just got a little bit too nervous, pushed up too far as individuals. Took to it the YZ push over the Molly. The K-Knight positioning of upper A side. Just caught out in the open.
Listen, I'm hoping in this timeout as well that Coach Bale for BLG can hold his nerve, keep calm with the team, and give them the optimal plan, because he was furious after that pistol round loss when we cut to the coach booth. And now they're going to have to deal with the showstopper that Zekin has gotten up very early in this half. A crucial round for BLG. Big investment here.
And already, Sentinels here grouped on his A side. Pretty standard. We have Zelsas obviously watch see. He's got the Outlaw in hand to punish a push-up. BLG, do they want this fight again? Zekken's got hands. Russia finds out the hard way. YZ doesn't fancy any of it. He's only playing with a classic here. Such a weird assortment of guns.
Yeah, it is bizarre, right? I mean, Neff, yeah, unfortunately only just sitting at the 700. Maybe these rifles can make something happen. Matter of fact, both of them have looked like intentions of maybe pushing out a B, but that's not going to be the case for the defense. SEN have inserted Narrate over towards Rubble. Potential fight against YZ where he's highly favored. Far superior gun.
And they're going to use him to try and sell this.
Yeah, they even throw a dark cover towards stairs, and it's working.
Oh God, they're all departing from C.
They have fully bought it.
Billy, I mean, they can't take too many risks. If they think there's a stack opportunity, they've got to take it with these weaker weaponry.
And YZ, he just didn't know while that Viper's wall was up how many players actually crossed it.
We'll get this at least. Oh my goodness, guy! Eyes in the back of his head. Very timely swing there from Narrate.
That would have been their way into this round, into a realistic retake, but now and after that, it is certainly not the case.
Now just happy to post up here in this seaside. Zekken challenging Waterfall. K-Knight forced off the line and low with a Phantom in hand. He likely doesn't want to wager it. And another flawless round on the horizon here for Sentinels.
We are right back to saving. K-Knight going
Spoke too soon.
Get away, Narrate. Just obviously on the hunt. This economy for SEN is out of control.
And so it goes. Sentinels get that magic 9 rounds. And again, this next one, a real inflection point. Another gun snapped up at the end of the round. Celsius' weapon.
Horrid that it wasn't K-Knight dying. It was Billy who really needed to save those there. And are able to get away with it. Narrate just turns at the perfect time. I mean, like I said, totally different round if that isn't caught. And now, finally, we've gotten to the point for Billy where this operator that we were talking about so much on attack is economically viable to be picked up for YZ. This is going to have to be where the half changes for BLG, where it's going to feel like they are absolutely down and out. They've committed everything they've got, and it pays off for YZ.
That's exactly what they're looking for. The contact move up on B main. No more Vice in the map for Zen. Non-committal though in this early approach to the round. They had the spike left behind. They might feel the need to re-clear a little bit that B area before they head elsewhere.
Toxin screen down.
Prowler thrown out from K-Knight towards B. Doesn't spot anyone at SEN. Silently working their way towards Mound when they had been posted up. When they go for this execute, you could see a world where, you know, Zekken Satchel's in, the rest of the guys get cut off by a sheer wall. Rusha's ready with a paranoia. This could get dangerous. They're ready to anchor BLG.
Zekken bounds on in. Rushia down, tries to play it safe, getting over towards the site. Levis is good for 2. Narrate's going to be stuck here. Decayed down. His position known and noted. K-Knight and Levis in no hurry as John can't even get into the site with the spike in hand. An easy cleanup and a great use of the Nightfall there from K-Knight.
A great counter ultimate. They do a nice job getting in, and it did kind of play out as speculated, where that sheer wall not getting procced earlier does kind of awkwardly cut players off. It does force Bang to feel like, wait, I need to teleport up there, I need to get in. And then he's just out in the open.
Bang, yeah, trying to get up on that wall, right?
Just didn't have the opportunity to get the gun out quick enough, actually take the fight. Perfect ultimate usage there. And the op paid off. Everything they wanted to do in that round worked perfectly. YZ is going to mix up the positioning and go towards Mound. All of Sentinels have taken Rubble on the opposite side of the map.
Russia has to play safe passive, and it's Bang brought down. A couple steps ahead of the rest of his team, but Narrate at least able to find the trade. Billy responded to this quickly. It's a Prowler looking to check that A-side proper as Elsis gives the Orb a tap. I think he takes some hits there. Tries to back up. Neff forced away by the snake bite, though. Here's a steel guard for the attack side to pave the way for a plant.
K-Knight had intentions of retreating for a while, and the steel guard ensures that. Billy having to go for the full retake. Zekken is posted up so close.
Sees the Prowler now. They know, and they make use of that information to get rid of Zekken, but John is there to find the trade. Nightfall for the attack side now, and Knight doesn't know what's coming. Neff with a wrap from Drop. John finds his third for the round, and YC's op is not the ideal tool for this job. Sentinels back in front. Back with a burst of confidence. A fast A kit plays out the way they drew it up.
The Narrate's Nightfall that time is used to perfection. Catches up to all of the players, retaking through heaven. Second absorbs some of that. Backs off. John swings up when they're dealing with Zekin. Gets the trade on the rope, and the rest of the players are pushing forward. They are all caught by that well-placed ultimate.
They're still, Sentinels though, going to have to contend likely with a YZ off by. First it was a push out of B main, got Celsius. The previous round it was off of the C side. What will it be now?
He's over at A position with a couple other players. All of that defensive sentinel utility continuing to be littered across that C site from Levius. Dark cover's being cycled as well. YZ, how aggro does he want to get? He's going to post up deep. Does John try to take this space? I mean, surely a contact push back into main would be a free kill for YZ. You have to imagine.
Do you ever think to re-clear this spot for the attackers? It's so close to their side of the map, but shoulder peek.
Smart. That's
John
smart.
is lucky to get out of that one alive. Limping away. But still keeps his weapon in this round.
And knows they've given up so much of that positioning that was possible for YZ. Gets away with his life. Sentinels at 45 seconds are pivoting back towards that BC area, kind of keeping their options open as they're activating that door. The shear wall is still here. They've had trouble dealing with that on some of these prior C executes. It's been tough for them to manage.
Not the right weaponry to sort of follow up on that haunt. Shear wall is still a problem. Sen don't have a way to safely clear it, to trigger it. They've got to go B.
Not even very much damage actually done. We are down to 20 seconds right now. Second satcheling in, a couple players on defense. Rusha gets the first of the spam through. John was just so weak.
And there's not much more to gain from this now. Celsius heading over towards the C side, but that shield wall's going to get come up either way, and Neff will be waiting. Narrate steps up, and this is tit for tat stuff, round for round. Sen and Billy exchanging haymakers to try and close the map.
Keeping each other honest, that BLG round was critical. After reinvesting into the operator, that would have been presumably worth two. That would have put BLG on the eco. They were in the right places in the right times defensively. They do a good job nullifying the attempt from Sentinels to get back into that B site. Zekin in the air, shot down. Rusha ready to go. Sen, they are struggling dealing with this Vice over at C. I've got to say, they're not getting that util out earlier, and they're fearing late having to go into it when the clock is getting low. There are those thorns on the ground they have to deal with. Players getting caught off by the shear wall. You know, you can try to timing it where your Omen can TP top box, Zekin can get in, but it's still challenging.
But what is it that forced him to C in the first place? It was YZ pushing up on A, getting aggressive towards Rubble.
And that's exactly what you want to do with this operator. Once you've got it rolling with the Vice on this map, you take control and you just want to force the attackers to have to deal with that powerful defensive utility. You want to just route them into that sort of trap that you have laid on the opposite side of the map, and they pull it off there.
So there's got to be a game plan for this early round action that Sen have been opting out of more often than not. Is it another Rubble fight? Maybe try and explore B early and fight through some of that fade util that's been deployed there. All that and more to be answered in just a few moments. You can see that scoreboard. A good start in this half of Sentinels. Converting on the bonus is big. Billy have found their niche in this game. YZ has carved it out, kill by kill with this operator.
In terms of the ult economy, look at BLG. They had that Steel Guardian, but they're so close to 3 other ults. And realistically, the only thing that Sen can have on top of the From the Shadows, which isn't all too viable unless you're going for one of those fast, deep teleport executes, is maybe John can get a kill, get the spike down, and use that pit to win out a post plant. But even at that, you use the pit, you have to stay in it, easy Steel Garden. Sure, maybe you have the shorty in it, so there are counterplays to the counterplays that are available if we get into a situation like that. But as of right now, it's Billy again, posting up, taking A control with that op line deep.
There.
This time, Sen have to have a plan for this. They've got to, yep, here you can see, they've got to be expecting YZ to be on this line. First is the Prowler. YZ's far enough away that it actually doesn't need to be shot at. Now the second wave, Paranoia thrown in. This is awkward. Zek not affected by it, but the rest of Sentinels are. Now though, time to burst forward. Wall comes down, and so does YZ. That's the op out of the game. Russia has to ult from the shadows to TP back to his spawn for safety, and that opens this side of the map up for Sentinels.
Second is taking so much space. Russia wants to get back there, but completely misreading the timings that were available to send to scale.
He thinks he can get in way earlier than that. And he was wrong. Billy now, you notice, yes, picking up these rounds here and there, but because there's been a patchwork of back and forth, it's much harder to justify throwing themselves in a 3v5 scenario with no control of the site and with no duelist to work with.
That position from YZ got really messed up in the moment. It's tough to play around that Viper's wall close up. It feels like you either need to be in front of it or you need to kind of be playing back towards the actual site, stairs. Because in that situation, when it drops, there's just multiple players on multiple angles that are going to be looking at you. It's hard to find a target even. You can see him trying to adjust. It's just too much. There's simply too much for him to try to look at. And too many players will have a much easier time dealing with him. I mean, look, he's just wide out in the open.
And that's how Sentinels realize they can take control of that operator held position. Use controller util to close the gap on them.
Really good run,
Pop
guys.
when that wall comes down.
Really with those saves. Forza can buy again. They do still have the Steel Guard, and YZ's got on the Showstopper. He was one away and died. Kane one away from the Nightfall, one away from the Viper's Pit. They could get so many ults in this round, which they need desperately. A couple players on horrendous cash, while Sentinels just have a bank to keep buying over and over.
This Poison Orb is set up to make even just trying to trigger the sheer wall potentially lethal for Sentinels. They can't just duck in there and make it come up.
BLG, they do have that forward position over towards Rebel again. Same two players stacked up. Sen have done a nice job re-clearing them though. Realizing that they're finding more success just working this A side of the map and essentially avoiding this Vice entirely.
Is the defensive showstopper play on the table for YZ here? Crowder out, looking the same as last round. Russia now with a bit of spray.
Second is fully committed.
He's out, he's out.
He's able to get out,
But again, where to from here? 40 seconds in the round, and they did nothing about that sheer wall at sea, which has been more than a small nuisance for Sen.
And there are still two anchors there, out in the open. That has to be traded.
The opening of the door is so big for Bang. He paves the way for a firing line of Sentinels to look at the seaside defenders. Now they've gotten in once again with a two-player advantage. YZ might have to entry this with a showstopper, but Zekit is waiting for him to make his way out of that B connector. And he's ready for K9 as well. Bring me another, he says, and YZ acquiesces. An easy pick-off once more for the Rays. And it is a dastardly scenario that Russia has to find a way to unravel. And with this Guardian, he's got no choice but just to go for it. Sen encircling him to get away from the blast. Billy might have lost their biggest opportunity to get back in control of this map and series. Russia lucky to get away with his life.
Next round, Billy, of course, going to have to force up with everything they've got. They still have ultimates. That could turn the tide on a bad buy round to stay in the game. This is Sentinels on match point. One round away from making the playoffs. Going 2-0 to start this tournament after an 0-2 at Bangkok, finishing in disappointing fashion. Playing with a hunger today. You can see it on their faces, especially Celsius in this game, locked in. Second back on the original agent that he made a name with years ago to propel him to the top of the American scene. Is putting on a show on Lotus.
Billy have got a lot to commit into a round like this though. Bang has already gotten pretty far forward and Russia sees that barrel. The Guardian he maintained from the previous round pays dividends. And that showstopper will be avoided. Maybe a little bit quick on the trigger finger is YZ. That Ray's ultimate's off the table now.
And John just able to get a little bit off to the left there from YZ's perspective, again, this is a situation where you do have Narrate over towards that C-mount side, just controlling the space, ensuring that no one is pushing up. Viper's pit here now, going to make a potential execute there, an absolute nightmare.
And you mentioned it, Sentinels don't have those big initiator ultimates to work with. Don't have a showstopper quite yet. Just inches short in all of those categories.
Maybe if they had the Nightfall, then they could throw that at the pit, Prowler, the Viper, something like that, but it's not an option right now.
So is it a hard call? Hoping to catch a player positioned far forward, like we've seen from YZ in the past, but BLG are actually giving a lot more map control over
30
here.
seconds left.
Now SEN are going to run into this.
YZ, does he dare jump up?
Shot through the box, he needs to see over this wall and can't quite, so that's tree access now gained by Sentinels. Rushie though is ready. Pure stopping power. This time it's a Guardian shot to John QT's cranium. 12 seconds left. Sentinels have to go. Zekin getting sprayed down, but is able to find Rushie. YZ trying to disrupt with the blast pack, but gets caught out. Knight deals with Narrate. Zekin and Zelsis back to back for the series.
Steel Garden should be connecting onto both though. Zelsis on the run, Zekin just has the shorty trying to play back sight, but the showstopper as well. He got that with the spike going down.
Zelsis is going to be jumped on in tree, got nowhere to go. Primaries are available again, and back to back. Zekin and Zelsis put Neff in a solo situation. Signed, sealed, delivered. Sen City are back in a Masters playoffs.
Zekin was an absolute phenom on their 2 map wins, the Neon on Sunset, and an even better performance as the Rays on Lotus. Puts up over 300 ACS, drops a 23 bomb on Billy, who made a serious go at it today. Nobody thought that they would be in this game. Expectations were for Sentinels to make it. People thought this was certainly their game to lose. They won, which frankly was the expectation, but in this fashion, I don't know. Billy made a serious go at it. That Icebox game from them was stunning individually. YZ had some unbelievable highlight reel moments.
And that was definitely the stumbling block for Sentinels, controlling that star player from Billy, who we know is always a problem for teams such as this. But in the end, they figure out how to answer that A-side operator play. They get that controller util up. Eventually, they can push YZ over. Let's send it down now to Jen Lee, down on the stage for our Verizon post-match interview with John QT.
And it's going to be Sentinels in the playoffs! John, if I may have you over here. Yes, for a short interview. Lotus was a nail-biter, no?
Definitely, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, congratulations on making it to the playoffs. I mean, first one since Masters Madrid. You gotta be excited.
Yeah, definitely very excited. That was the goal coming into the tournament. Kind of beating our demons that we had in Bangkok because we got grouped, so very happy of our result.
Can you tell us a little bit about what happened in between Icebox and Sunset? Because it felt like after Icebox, you guys locked in.
Yeah, we realized on Icebox we just started super slow. They were just like running us down. We were not winning our fights and stuff like that. And we're just like, okay, guys, like let's give them a statement game. We're gonna 13-5 them on Sunset, and we did so. So it worked out.
Well, speaking of demons, we have other demons waiting for you in the playoffs. Who would you like to face for the first round of the playoffs?
To be honest, I don't care. Whoever dared to pick us, I'm down to play them. We're coming in very confident, so I'm pretty sure they don't want to see us.
Plus, you just avenged Energy. How are you feeling about that?
I don't really care.
Yeah, I thought you would say that, but congratulations once again. John QT, everybody!
not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you, gamers, hybrid workers, artists, backing your every move.
An update is required. Financial system updating. System updated.
We will dance together.
The future of money is here. Feels good.